The 1989 film True Believer stars James Woods as eccentric defense lawyer Eddie Dodd. Screenwriter Wesley Strick based his story on the career of a colorful San Francisco attorney named Tony Serra.
I was researching the movie, and I went up to San Francisco 3 or 4 times to watch Tony do his thing in court. And he has a terrific style, which Jimmy used to some degree in the movie. It's kind of rabbinical and oratorical and operatic, and I mean, he's a real ham. He just gets up there, and he uses his hair also to great advantage. He has long, flowing white hair, which he flings around, and he ties into braids and ponytails and uses very fancy clips and other things to kind of distract and beguile the jury. But he's shameless and very funny.
The main character wasn't the only complex ingredient in the script. The plot, how an unorthodox defense attorney gets a Korean gang member's murder case retried, was even more complicated.
We were stuck with a very elaborate plot, which I take responsibility for. Maybe my favorite movie is Chinatown, and I was using the convolutions of Chinatown as a model for the complications of True Believer. And it was a lot to bite off. It turned out, it was my first produced film, and I had just loaded it up with so many twists and turns that I almost outsmarted myself. But I always said on the plus side that the reason I didn't get fired off the movie was I was the only guy in Hollywood who actually understood the plot.
Strick got the job writing True Believer mainly because the producers had read his first screenplay, Final Analysis, which he had sold, but at the time was unproduced.
Final Analysis led to True Believer because, like I said, everyone in town had read Final Analysis and presumed that I knew a whole lot about courtrooms and lawyers and the law, which I know nothing of. In fact, a lot of people asked me in the early days whether I had a law background, whether I was a lawyer, gone to law school. No, I know nothing about the law. I don't know anything more than anyone else who's watched a lot of Perry Mason as a kid.
And what did you say, Mr. Bernard? Objection! Badgering! Sustained! Didn't you say, don't worry, we'll cover it up?
The courtroom drama was praised by critics and audiences alike, although not every scene in the script made the film's final cut.
Somebody said, I don't know who it was, that your favorite line always gets cut from the movie. And sure enough, it happened on this film. It was in the scene where Eddie and Kitty make love again. And he's invited her up to his apartment. He surprises her by embracing her. And at first she's embarrassed and self-conscious, and she says, Eddie, are we supposed to pretend that nothing's happened in the last 10 years? And he says, well, nothing has, but that's all changing. And I always felt that that was very touching and really the essence of what we were watching here. But we had to cut it because I think in part there was not enough chemistry between Margaret Cullen and Jimmy.
However, there was chemistry during the graphic fight sequence between 2 rival prison gangs.
I spoke to a gang expert up in San Francisco, I forget his name now, but he gave me a huge file full of stuff that he had collected over the years, details about things like the teardrop tattoos that the Aryan nation used, and the taping of the knives, which what that's all about is the fact that the fight is to the death. In other words, if your weapons are attached to you, then you can't drop your knife and surrender. It's killer be killed.
Even armed with a string of successful screenplays, including Cape Fear, Final Analysis, and Arachnophobia, Strick admits that writers don't always get their day in court.
The truth about screenwriting, at least in Hollywood, is that you're not the filmmaker. I often say the definition of a screenwriter is he who does not make the film. You're just, there's a point where you hand it over and that's it. What I find amazing is that you can create an entire world, a story, a universe of characters, and it's all yours, and yet you show up on the set and you find that you are completely you're not necessary, and you can't hear the dialogue that you wrote, and if you can scrounge a set of headphones from the sound crew, you're in good shape. Nobody wants you there, and you have no function. So it's odd and unsettling, but true.
Maybe so, but for now, Strick has been sentenced to a successful career with no end in sight.